It's way past useful life. It's still working good, but it's not efficient. But it's that time to not really continue to take chances and get this stuff removed and have a gas zombie boiler or whatever installed.
Okay. So you're a little breaking up in the beginning. So you have a 47-year-old boiler and a 47-year-old oil tank. So right now, does the boiler also give you domestic hot water, like the water that comes out of the faucets, tub showers, etc.?
Yeah, it has a separate tank, but that tank, I guess that's it's indirect, so it's an indirect.
Indirect. Okay, yeah, you got that right.
It doesn't have its own indirect, yeah.
Yeah, so you have a tank that's hooked up to the boiler.
Very, very good tank.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hooked up to the boiler, which we want to keep. We know it can be done.
Cool.
Because it's brand new.
Okay. So let me ask you a couple questions before we like see what you want to do, or if it's even makes sense. The
Okay.
What brand boiler do you have now?
You're not going to believe this. It's a Ford.
A Ford.
Nothing to do with Ford. I don't think it has anything to do with Ford Automotive. It's 47 years old. No one.
How do you know it's 47 years old?
Doesn't even. Mm-hmm.
No, how do you know it's 47 years old?
Previous homeowner told us.
Okay.
And other people have said it too.
All right, so it's a Ford, but is there a plate or some kind of branding on the boiler that says Ford on it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And how many heating thermostats do you have in the house right now?
We have one thermostat, one zone, but there's two zones. One zone for the house, one zone so it can pump water into
I got that. No,
tank.
yeah, I got that. It's okay. It's cool. Now, the type of heating you have in your home, is it like baseboard, radiators, or does hot air come out of vents?
All baseboards.
All baseboard. Okay. I like to ask the right questions. I've been doing this for a little while, so it gives me a better idea of what's best suited for you. So right now you have a chimney outside, or does it go through the middle of the house?
We do have a chimney, which does not have a steel liner.
Okay.
And of course, the oil burner is exhausting out the chimney.
Okay. Now, does this chimney, is it outside the house where, 3 walls are exposed and 1 wall's against the house, or is it run through the middle of the house?
Oh, no, it's at the exterior.
Okay.
Outside of the house.
Understood. Okay, very good. Now, you had mentioned earlier, just 3 minutes ago, that you're thinking about maybe like a combi or what have you. These tankless combis, that hang on the wall, they are what we call condensing boilers. And what that means is that, because they operate so efficiently, the exhaust gases don't go into like a normal chimney. They get directly vented outside the house. So with like a, plastic PVC pipe, with that, yep, with that in mind, where that terminates outside, it needs to be, a certain distance from any operable window or any vent opening in the house. So make sure you don't get any exhaust gases coming back in. But, because they run at these lower temperatures and because they're condensing boilers, right? Your boiler now, if I was to lower the temperature to say to 145 degrees, probably within a couple of years, that boiler will be shot because the boiler will condense upon itself because the lower temperatures that you set the boiler to, if you lower the temperature of what it's, heating water to, you're also going to have lower exhaust temperatures. So when you put in a condensing boiler, yes, it can be set to match the current heating temperature like your current boiler does that your baseboard is used to. But we also have to take into consideration the age of the home, what type of insulation is they're in the walls and the ceilings, the R value of the windows. Because when you put in a condensing boiler, you want it to condense because that's what it's thrived and designed to do. It thrives when it's condensing at 145, 140 degrees. So I like to ask the right questions because that's the way I was taught, and that's the way I install my equipment as well. So if you have a what's that?
like your approach.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So if you have a well-insulated home and I can lower the temperature down to, let's say, 145 degrees on the average day, an average winter day, not only are you going to save, money in the process, by using less fuel, but you're also going to let this boiler that you're going to spend a lot of money on to thrive because it's going to be condensing. Right, but if you have a not a tight home and a loosely insulated, walls and insulation and bad windows and drafty doors, right, we're going to need that 180 degrees, and then this condensing boiler is just like any other boiler, except it's convenient, it's on the wall, but it still requires annual maintenance of descaling and flushing, what have you. But you're going to have a decreased life expectancy, and that 47-year-old boiler that will probably last for another 47 years, your condensing boiler, you're lucky if you're going to get 10 or 15 years out of it. But these are the conversations that I have, when homeowners are contemplating, do I replace it? And then they mention it. I don't mention it. I always let my clients mention it. Let's say I was there, for a repair, and you got this 47-year-old boiler. It's probably older than that because I've never heard of a Ford boiler, and I'm a little older than 47 years old. Been doing this for about 25 years. But that in mind, it may be older than that. But that's okay. But let's say I was in your house doing a repair, and we have to have that conversation of repair versus replace because the age justifies replacement. What I normally recommend is a traditional cast iron boiler, but it's a newer version of it. And yes, it'll be more efficient. Is it a combi? No, they don't make cast iron combi boilers. But a combi's not for everyone. And these combis do require maintenance.
Is this an asymmetric boiler? Is that the correct term?
No, I don't know what you're referring to with that. You must be.
Meaning instead of the wall mounted.
Oh, atmospheric? Is that what you said?
You're talking atmospheric. I'm sorry.
Yes. So you have a natural draft. Listen, if there's not a power, if there's not a motor or a fan on the boiler, it's like pushing the exhaust gases out of the boiler, like a power vented boiler. You have what we call a natural draft or atmospheric boiler. So you have makeup air. So, you have your whole basement or wherever this boiler is located, all that giant room, for makeup air. So it burns fuel properly. And then, that exhaust the exhaust gases through natural convection and, it go up, natural draft. It goes up the chimney. That's, it's a drawback of that is, let's say you have a whole house attic fan, or you have a very tight house and you turn the kitchen draft hood on, the kitchen exhaust hood on over your stove, and the boiler comes on, you have such a tight house, guess what's going to happen with that chimney? The exhaust gases are coming out of the boiler into your basement and then through your house and up the exhaust of the chimney of the kitchen hood. So, if you want, you send me some pictures, stand 10, 15 back, feet away from the, 10 to 15 feet away from the boiler. So I can see all the piping it's connected to, and then a few close-up one shots. So I can, show me like the monocylinder if you have one there, and also the relationship to the gas piping and the gas meter, what you have there. And then the picture outside, like, let me see the the area where the chimney is. Because if you're going to put a tankless combi in, I need to make sure that you have clearances from windows and things like that. And then I can send you a proposal. I've been doing this for a while. If you've done one, you've done 1,000. But send me some pictures, and I'll take a look. And I'll send you my proposal. I'll give you a cast iron option and a regular option. If you do a cast iron boiler, we can reuse that indirect if it's still brand new. We can put that into the new boiler.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Because the thing is, my chimney, I don't have a steel liner in there. I would have to get a steel liner.
Okay, so I know some good chimney guys that would not rip you off and do the right thing. So if that's is something you want to have done, with a new gas boiler, it's a traditional boiler. Yeah, we could do that. Keep in mind. Listen, yeah. Go ahead.
The house can't say the house is built in 1957, so it's not going to have all the insulation. But I did change all the insulation in the attic, which was stamped 1955. It's all the best Pink Panther, high R value 38, all that stuff. Right?
Okay.
So I'm hearing what you're saying. House is 1,400 square feet internally. So I don't know if that's 150,000 BTU. I'm just
no. Listen, you have to think about this. You said you have baseboard in the house, right? Send me, if all the baseboard's the same, send me a couple pictures of the baseboard, right? And if you know how to measure with a tape measure, right? Just tell me the total length, because the boilers are properly sized when you measure the heat output sources. So let's say you send me a picture and it's slant fin number 80 or slant fin number 30. I know that slant fin number 30 is 610 BTUs per linear foot. And if you put a 10 section boiler in, you only have 100 feet of baseboard. It's going to be a problem. Because you're all going to have a grossly oversized boiler. It's going to short cycle, and then you're going to have a condensing boiler that's a cast iron boiler, and it's going to be dead in 10 years. Right? Because you also don't want to oversize boilers either. But listen, if you have a 1,400 square foot home, you probably need a 4-section boiler. Get yourself a Whale McLean CGA4 or a U.S. boiler, Burnham ES24, and call it a day and hook up your indirect that you have there. As long as it's fairly new. I don't know what brand you have indirect, but as long as it's fairly new, you can reuse that. And just have 2 zones like you have now. Get your chimney liner, and then you're not going to be dependent on the oil man.
And the gas is right above the boiler. The gas line is right there.
That may be great, or it could be against us, because if it's the right size, then it's in your favor. If it's the wrong size, then you have to run a new gas pipe from the meter to the boiler.
Yeah, from what I heard from other plumbers, I hear that the gas is the right size. I forget how many inches it is, but I heard
1 inch, inch and a quarter.
It looks bigger than an inch.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, but send me some pictures of I can give you an email address, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. What email address do I send it to?
Mike at pipedoc.net. That's pipe doc, short for pipe doctor. .net. So Mike at pipedoc, pipedoc, PIPEDOC.net.
I'm sorry, Mike. That's Mike Doc?
No. Mike. Got at pipe doc, DOC, .net.
Okay.
I know. I wish I had. I actually own pipedoctor.net, but to change the email, it's annoying. But no one really hears it clearly over the phone. But that's why it's on my business card. But send me some pictures that we spoke about, along with your name and address, and your phone number on there. I will look at those pictures. I'll go over it, and I'll send you a proposal. And the only thing that would change on this is if like the gas piping is not the right size, or if like the baseboard. Let's say you measure the baseboard, you tell me you have 80 feet, but when I measure it's 150. That's going to alter the size of the boiler that you're going to need, and then of course the price would change. But if you send me
I'm going to measure.
Okay, good.
I'm going to measure the length of each baseboard.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll measure the length of each baseboard. I got you.
Excellent. All right, and send me that email.
Okay, Mike, you'll hear from me later.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Have a great day.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
You too. Be
Thank
well.
you. You too. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's something a little different that I don't think I've ever posted, a full conversation. You missed the first 30 seconds. This is a YouTube subscriber, lives in North Massapequa, been following me for a while, left me, called the office today, actually called the office twice today because, as you know, there's no power to my building because PSE&G is a bunch of pigs. It's going to be called Pig SEG. Anyway, he left a couple messages. We've been playing phone tag, and he called back. And as you heard, at the beginning of the conversation, his boiler's 47 years old, made by Ford. Now, it's probably not the Ford Motor Company, but I've never heard of that one. I've heard of a lot of weird ones, but not Ford. And I've been doing this for quite a while. Now, is it set in stone? No. But if you heard my end of the conversation, I said, listen, send me the pictures. I'll review it carefully. I'll send you a proposal. And the only way that number would change is if something's a little different in person. Like, if I measure the baseboard and it's, much different, or he's got baseboard and something else, or the gas piping is not the right size, or the indirect really not going to work. But that's why you got to leave that option there, so it's just, hey, if you do need to make a change, you're not hitting him in the head like, oh, Mikey, you told me it's going to be $15,000. Now you want 17. I'm like, no, I'm fully transparent, which is how I operate in all aspects of my life, especially with business, being transparent, telling like it is, And it sucks because I am a New Yorker from Long Island, and it's obvious. So, hope you enjoyed this. If you did, smash that thumbs up button. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Catch you in the next one. Be well. God bless. Stay safe.